Okay, so continuing on with my look at the Ark games, we have the first PS2 Ark title, Ark the Lad Twilight of the Spirits. My exposure to this game is just like how I came across Eternal Darkness and Disgaea. I saw the game at a thrift store and decided to give it a try. Now I don't know too much about the game's development history, like why it was made, or why they went with a different team of developers. The only possible thing of interest here is that this game is what exposed me to the Ark series. So the question comes down to this: is Ark the Lad Twilight of the Spirits a good successor to the Ark trilogy, and is it a game worth playing on its own merit? The game has a pretty simple setup. The world has changed quite a bit since the events of the third Ark game. There are now a new species of monstrous humanoid creatures called Deimos, who have been at odds with the humans for quite some time now. You will be following two main characters throughout the story, that being the human Krog and the half-human, half-Deimos Dark. Krog wanted to save the world for the humans and strive to be a great leader for his people, while Dark wants to kill all the humans and become the king of the Deimos. Both of them having to simultaneously deal with a world-conquering nation known as the Dwitzel. Of the two stories, I find Dark's a bit more interesting since he's hated by both groups, so his struggle to me is more intriguing. Though the overall story of the game is still simple, with the characters having very clear motivations and goals, so I never really felt confused of what was going on. The characters are never all that complex, but are for the most part rather likable. Again, I have a preference for Dark's party, which consists of more colorful group of creatures like Volk the Lupine and Betadora. One aspect I really like about the world is seeing all the different Deimos races and how they function. It was a nice piece of world building. In the end though, the story is pretty serviceable for a fantasy game that does have some nice moments from time to time, but isn't really anything special. Much like the games before it, gameplay-wise, Ark the Lad Twilight of the Spirits is a tactical RPG. The game is split up between chapters for our two main heroes. So once you beat Krog's first chapter, you are then taken to Dark's first chapter, and so on and so forth. You progress through the game simply by paying attention to which characters and locations you need to go to next. At times, you may have to go through some dungeons, which can consist of a series of fights, but usually they aren't too confusing to navigate. Visiting towns can be fun places to explore, as some have entertaining NPCs to talk to, like the Snake Charmer in Rulun. Of course, it's at towns where you can heal up your party, stock up on items and spirit stones, I'll be talking more about those later, buy accessories for your characters defensively, and purchase weapon parts. Yes, instead of buying new weapons, you buy weapon parts, like special coating that increases your weapon's strength, or special items that give your weapons additional effects when attacking, like doing fire damage or inflicting poison. A fair amount of these weapon parts will be exclusive for certain characters. When you're not in towns or solving simple puzzles, you'll be navigating on where to go next on the world map. Once you get far enough in the game, you'll even get a special way to fly around the world to visit other continents for extra fun. Now moving on to the main focus of the game, we have the battles. While Twilight of the Spirits is a tactical RPG, there is no grid-like maps. Instead, maps have a more natural feel to them, and your characters can only move within a blue circle, kinda like that of Future Tactics. Pressing and holding down the R1 button, you'll be able to see your character's attack range, and where they will be attacking will be represented by the yellow bar within a red ring. This is a system I actually like, because with good positioning, you can attack more than one enemy at a time, especially with Maru. Things like spells and special attacks on the other hand will show their range with a red circle, and you will have to select an enemy within the circle to be attacked, though there are some spells and skills that will affect all enemies or allies that are just within the circle. For example, Healing Rain will heal everyone surrounding that character who uses the spell, while Cure will only heal one character within its range. Again, I like this setup for battles, as attack and spell ranges are important in tactical RPGs, which usually use a grid-like system, and these red circles are a great way to adapt that into a tactical RPG that doesn't. Each character feels different too, some having much wider ranges of attack than others, and some have unique skills and spells, like how Volk has ice spells and Maru has bow-based skills. Unfortunately, I do have one problem with spells and skills in this game. Instead of characters having magic points to use their abilities, they consume spirit stones. Each character can only hold so many spirit stones, which can be increased with the use of accessories, but this isn't usually by a whole lot, and that does take up an accessory space, rather than this number increasing naturally as they level up. Not only that, but you can only restock character spirit stones with the spirit stones you own before or after a battle, but not during. The only way you can restore a character's spirit stones when in battles is if an enemy happens to drop some after dying, and you then have to have that character pick them up. This also applies to money, as you don't earn money by simply winning battles. Instead, you need to pick it up from defeated enemies who may drop some. I think you can tell by now that I find the spirit stones to be a real limiting feature that makes me not want to take full advantage of my character's skills and abilities, because it's such a constricting system and is my biggest problem with the game's combat. Not only will your characters earn experience in battles, but they'll also earn spirit points. By earning so many spirit points, your characters can eventually rank up in class. Once they have increased in rank, they will be able to learn some new skills and spells, which will also cost some spirit points to learn. This is a cool way to choose how your character grows throughout the game, and it's something I find to be pretty neat. For the most part, the game isn't too hard, as long as you're willing to grind up the money to buy some better equipment and stock up on healing items for your characters, and only use powerful spells and skills on boss monsters. There are a few side quests for both heroes' stories, like the tournaments that everybody can participate in. By winning at these tournaments, you can unlock secret character Dimebek for Krog and Choco for Dark. There's also the Ancient Tablets and Spirit Dictionary side quests, where throughout the journey you must find these items. And really, that's about it. Unfortunately, there really isn't much else to do outside the main story. The transition to 3D seems to have worked out for the most part. Environments are well colored and have a nice level of detail to them, with certain areas really standing out more than others. I quite like the look of some of the swamps and forests, especially when fighting in the trees, as well as the look and feel of many of the Deimos villages. Not to mention the soundtrack to this game is very good too, with plenty of the themes that stand out, like the battle theme, the main theme, Moonlight, Soaring Wish, and Wave the Supreme Ruler. All of these pieces are used well and range from emotional atmospheric tracks to more triumphant upbeat battle tracks. The character models and voice acting are where things get, questionable. The models look good for the most part and have some nice detail to them. It's their animations that are of lesser quality. I wouldn't say the animations are awful, but they are noticeably stiff and awkward. Still, I do enjoy seeing some classic Ark monsters brought into the 3D though. When it comes to the voice acting, well, it's serviceable, but nothing amazing, and at times it can be quite stilted. Though I do like Grey Delisle making an appearance in the game, giving the best performance to a character who isn't seen too often. To be fair, there isn't that much voice acting in the game to begin with. So, would I recommend Ark the Lad Twilight of the Spirits? Yeah, possibly. If you enjoy RPGs and are curious enough to see where the series had gone, then I think this is a game that's at least worth giving a try. The combat is interesting, it has an easy to follow story with some good moments and entertaining characters, and it's really not too difficult of a game either. Sure, I have some issues with the spirit stones and there could have been some more interesting side quests, but in the end, I think Twilight of the Spirits is a decent tactical RPG that I at least enjoyed. After having played the original games, I wouldn't say it's better than the third or second game, but I think it's a good step in the right direction for the series that has a lot of potential to be built upon. We'll finish things off next time when I take a look at the last game in the series, End of Darkness. See you all then.